Welcome back. All right, so we almost got a shootout between Columbus and San Jose, didn't we? All right, so 12 games tonight in the National Hockey League, two late starts, so this video is going to go up pretty late, but that's just Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's kind of how that works now. So, anyways, let's go ahead and start things off talking about Montreal and Pittsburgh. Penguins fans aren't happy tonight. Just saying, based on what I saw online. So Montembeault versus Jarry in this one, at 21 seconds in. It's a rebound. It's point number 400 for Gensel. He gets that from Rust. And so 21 seconds in, and I thought, oh boy, here we go. Montreal could get blown right out of the building. Penguins press for another. They end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It's Malkin from Letang and Gensel at 4:49. So again, I thought, all right, so Montreal's probably in a lot of trouble here. However, less than a minute later at 5:21, as the 2-0 goals being announced, Hoffman buries one from Pitlick and Barron. Then at 7:13, it becomes tied on the fourth shot. Ullinen scores from Matheson and Harvey Pinard. The Habs then go to the power play. Early clear by the Penguins. Matheson has a shot that's blocked and cleared. That's killed off. No shots on net, but the fifth shot on net goes in for Montreal, and it's Gurianov from Belzile and Drouin at 11:31, and that was 11 seconds after the power play ended. So now it's 3-2 Montreal. The Habs are turning it over. They're giving chances to Pittsburgh. Zucker's denied. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 and 11 seconds before the period's out. Edmondson scores from Kovacevic. So at 19:49, makes it 4-2. It's a one-timer from the point, and it was the seventh shot of the game for Montreal, and it was their fourth goal. So to start the second period, DeSmith is in. It's still early. It's Montreal. You're only down 2. No reason to panic, right? Penguins press early. Granlund to Raquel, and then Raquel's denied. Power play for the Penguins. They cycle. Raquel is a one-timer that's held. That power play's killed off. Fans are getting restless at this point as well, understandably. Shots are 8-4 Penguins at 8.5 minutes, and at 10:57, Letang gets a goal from Pettersson and Raquel. Not long after, there's a delay game call. Penguins with the power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off out of that, but with 2:01 left, the Penguins go back to the power play, and early, 6 seconds in, they score on it. It's Gensel from Malkin and Letang at 18:05. Now the Penguins are looking for the lead. They don't get it before the end of the period, but it's 4-4 after 2. You'd have to think, all right, so they've survived a scare. DeSmith's playing better than Jarry was. 3 minutes, or 2.5 minutes into the third period, the shots are 2-0 for the Habs, and at 3:05, Anthony Richard. Yep, he scores from Barron and Edmondson. That makes it a 5-4 game. Now the Penguins would press at 6 minutes. Suzuki breaks up a pass, clears things out. Shots on net, though, are 6-2 for the Habs 9 minutes in. So Pittsburgh's getting zone time. They're not getting the shots. Raquel's denied from the slot. The Habs press with 3.5 minutes left, which is key because at this point, Pittsburgh's going to want to get the goalie out. Zucker couldn't bury one. The Habs clear. The goalie pull happens with 2 minutes left. And in the final minute, 180 feet from the net, Josh Anderson scores at 19:25. So that's his 21st of the season. And Montreal wins in Pittsburgh 6-4. They go to 27-35-6 with the win. Pittsburgh 34-23-10 with the loss. The good news for Pittsburgh, the teams they needed to lose to make sure they weren't, heading into any kind of trouble when it comes to their spot, they lost. So at any rate, 6-4 is your final. The 3 stars are Richard, Gensel, and Letang. The shots on net 15-7 Pittsburgh in the first, 17-4 Pittsburgh in the second. Both teams had 11 shots in the third. The final shot's 43-22 Pittsburgh. Power plays, Montreal 0-2, Pittsburgh 2-4. The hits 32-25 for Montreal. Montembeault saves 39 out of 43. Jarry saves 3 out of 7, and then DeSmith saves 13 out of 14. And of course, here's the kicker. Because Pittsburgh tied it, it is DeSmith that takes the loss, not Jarry. So I agree that's not fair, but that's how it works. Next up, Tampa Bay and against New Jersey. So for the Devils, they're playing better at home. Tampa Bay's a road team that came into this one 15-16-1 on the road. Tampa Bay didn't play like a team that was under 500 on the road. So it's Vasilevsky versus Vanacek. The shots are 2-0 for Tampa Bay, 2 minutes in, but at 5:55, Severson buries a rebound in close to put New Jersey ahead. Meyer and Hughes with the assists. So Devils look for another. Sergachev was denied, fires wide on his next opportunity. The Devils then press, and they get a goal. Graves scores, but goalie interference challenge and no goal. And it changed the goal. It changed the game in an instant as soon as that goal wasn't allowed. So post for Marino as the Devils press afterwards. Cirelli then fires wide. The Bolts press. So power play for the Devils, and it's a shorthanded goal for Tampa. It's Cirelli from Hagel and Chernak at 16-17. The Bolts then finish the kill. 140 left. Tampa Bay gets a power play. So that rolls over into the second period where New Jersey finishes the kill. And then the Devils press at 2 minutes. We get a power play for New Jersey. Aggressive kill by the Bolts. They do kill that off. But the shots 8 minutes in are 4-0 for the Devils. And then Tampa Bay scores on their first shot. It's Hagel from Vasilevsky at 8:51. So Vasi with an assist. And 7 minutes left in the period. Tampa Bay only has one shot, but they're ahead 2-1. And then at 13:54, it's a turnover and it's buried. Killorn scores from Hagel. So all of a sudden it's 3-1 for Tampa, even though they've been outplayed for stretches here. Cole has a blast that's held. There's a crossbar for the Devils. That was their third post tonight. And then Kucherov, 19:59, as the clock's running out, you play till the horn. And it just looked to me like not all the Devils were playing to the horn. They probably, period's over. Nope. Kucherov gets it with, I think it was 0.8 seconds left. Yeah, so that makes it 4-1 for Tampa Bay after 2, and 3 of their 7 shots went in the net in the second period. Third period, early power play for Tampa. That's killed off. Bolts press at 3 minutes. Perry's denied on a 2-on-1. The shots on net are only 3-2 for Tampa at 6 minutes. Chernak exited after a Meyer hit. I haven't heard any update yet on Chernak. Good forecheck by the Bolts, up by 3. I want to throw this in here too with all the injury stuff. Really, in all honesty, I write down the ones that I see, and then the next day, of course, I get up and I find out what's going on and who's actually going to miss time, because sometimes a guy will leave the game and he's fine. He's back for the next game. So good forecheck by the Bolts. They're up by 3. Devils had 3 shots with 9 minutes left. Bolts were not giving them a path to the net. It was really solid defense. Colton fires one wide on a rush, and they win this one 4-1. Tampa Bay goes to 40-22-6 with the win. New Jersey drops to 44-17-6 with the loss. The 3 stars in this one: Hagel, Kucherov, and Cirelli. Shots on net: 12-10 Tampa in the first, 7 apiece in the second, 11-6 Tampa in the third. Final shots: 30-23 for Tampa Bay. Power plays, both teams 0 for 2. The hits: 13-12 for New Jersey. Vasilevsky saves 22 out of 23. That's a better stat line than Vasilevsky's been putting up in recent games. Vanacek, 26 saves on 30 shots. His stats seem to be dropping off a bit. So we'll see. I mean, he had the shutout too over Carolina, so we'll see which Vanacek shows up when they hit the playoffs, right? All right, next up, Vegas in against Philadelphia. And at points during this game, I thought maybe Philadelphia would make my magnets work for today. So, of course, this was one that I put a trap magnet on, and it didn't work out. But at any rate, they had some good moments in this. It's Quick versus Sandstrom, early edge for the Flyers. There's a press by Philly 2 minutes in. Shots are 3-1 in their favor, 3.5 minutes in. Theodore's denied then as Vegas presses. We get a power play for the Flyers. That's killed off. Vegas presses at 7 minutes. Eventually, Dorofeyev scores in close from Smith at 8:34. So that's his second goal, I think, in as many games. Pressed by the Flyers with 7 minutes left. D'Angelo's denied by Quick, who looked solid to that point, and honestly, Quick's numbers much better in Vegas than they were in LA. D'Angelo was denied, and then in the last minute, we had a press by Vegas. But after the first period, it's 1-0 for the Golden Knights. Second period, early power play for Vegas, and they score on it. It's Theodore from Marchessault and Eichel at 1:58, and that one deflected in. So that makes it 2-0. The Flyers then press for a response. The shots, though, are 5-1 for Vegas at 4.5 minutes. But Sanheim, he gets a goal to put Philadelphia on the board at 8 minutes and 10 seconds. There's a press by Vegas at the half, and eventually, on what looked like maybe the 4th or 5th rebound, Bluger buries one. His first one as a Vegas Golden Knight. Scores from Kessel and Cotter at 11:06. Again, I hope Vegas is nice to him. I like Bluger. He's one of my favorites. Power play then for the Flyers. There's a post for Forster. He was that close to his first goal. There were some first goals tonight. Forster's not one of them. They cycle. Vegas couldn't clear it out, but they do kill it off. Flyers press with 3 minutes left, 2.7 seconds left. We get a power play for Vegas. So after 2 periods, the score's 3-1 in favor of the Golden Knights. Third period, Vegas has issues with setting up with this power play that they got at the end of the second period. Cates fires one high on a shorthanded rush. It's killed off, and then there's another Vegas power play, and they score on it. It's Marchessault from Eichel and Stevenson at 3:01. So that makes it 4-1 for Vegas. Vegas looks to add another. They're leading in shots 6-3, 7.5 minutes in. Lawton has a shot that's kicked aside, and then Sealer goes beast mode. I don't know how else to put it, but he went beast mode. And maybe he just threw off the defense by the fact he decided, I'm going to go through everybody and score a goal. But he did at 8:24. Flyers had some momentum down too, and they would score again. It's Morgan Frost from Lemieux and Van Riemsdyk at 10:15. That one scored on a rush. Flyers then looked to tie. They definitely had a chance. Vegas presses with 5.5 minutes left. The goalie pull would happen with 2.5 minutes left, and Barbashev takes the tension out of the game with an empty net goal from Marchessault at 18:28. Vegas wins this one. It ends up being a little closer than they would have hoped, but they win 5-3. They go to 42, 20, and 8 for Philadelphia, 24, 32, and 11 as they continue to drop out of any range of playoffs. 3 stars, Marchessault, Frost, and Barbashev. The shots on net, 11-9 Vegas in the first, 13-8 Vegas in the second, 13-8 in favor of Philadelphia in the third, or 13-9, I should say, for Philadelphia in the third. Final shots, 33-30 for Vegas. Power plays, the Golden Knights go 2 for 4. Philadelphia 0 for 2. The hits, 19-9 for Philadelphia. Quick saves 27 out of 30, and Sandstrom saves 28 out of 32. And just as an admission here, I always want to say Sandstrom by Darude. I'm sorry, it's one of those things that, it's an old meme. Old meme. All right. But I'm old, so that works. Washington in against the Rangers, and I replaced the NHL logo with this little Disney-themed sticker here because, of course, this was the animated game. And the reviews on the Discord seem to be people enjoyed it. People that watched it enjoyed it. They thought it was fun to watch the game in an animated fashion. And so I would think the ratings for it are probably going to be pretty good, and we're likely going to see it again. That could be expanded next year. And if it draws kids into watching hockey, I'm all for it. Whatever encourages kids. When I was a kid, there was Peter Puck, and there was cartoon stuff that was on TV, and they'd explain rules and all this. And there really isn't a show like that now on TV. So if this leads to that kind of thing coming back, bring back Peter Puck. Anyways, Kemper versus Shesterkin, no Ovechkin for the Caps. And when Ovechkin's not in the lineup, it has a huge effect on the Capitals, especially on their power play. So good back and forth to start. The Rangers press at 2.5 minutes. At 4:09, Zibanejad scores from Tarasenko. The shots are 4-0 for the Rangers, 5.5 minutes in. The Caps were just not on time with this one. Rangers press at 6.5 minutes. There were no shots for the Capitals 9 minutes in. We get a power play for the Rangers. That's killed off. The Caps get their first chances with about 8 minutes left, but they would tie it. Aube-Kubel from Protas and Irwin at 14:29. It does not stay tied for long. 16 seconds later, it's Zibanejad with his second of the game from Panarin and Shesterkin. So Shesterkin with an assist must have known Vasi got an assist, and so he got one too, or maybe the other way around. Yeah, it would have been the other way around because Vasi, that's in the second, and Shesterkin's in the first. So that was a nice stretch pass from Shesterkin as well. That was a legit good stretch pass. Rangers press with 3.5 minutes left. They end up getting a power play, and they score on it. It's Patrick Kane. I think this is his first power play goal as a Ranger. From Fox and Trocheck at 18:46. It's 3-1 Rangers after one. Second period. Power play for the Capitals. Kuznetsov's denied from the slot. That's killed off, but the shots are 3-0 Caps 4 minutes in. But at 4:09, their first shot goes in. The Rangers, it's Trouba from Trocheck and Kane. The Rangers would then press at the half. Zibanejad nearly gets a hat-trick goal during that. Rangers press again with 8 minutes left, but on a rush chance and totally against the flow of play, Washington gets another. It's Irwin from Oshie and Sandin at 12:08. So Rasmus Sandin continues to play big minutes in Washington and put up points. It's just what he's doing. Power play for the Caps. Wilson couldn't bury one. That power play ends up being killed off. Nice clears there by the Rangers. Caps press again with 2 minutes left, but after 2 periods, it's 4-2 in favor of the Rangers. Third period. 2 minutes of 4-on-4. The Caps then go to a 4-on-3 power play that becomes a 5-on-4. Everything's killed off there. Shots are 2 apiece at 8 minutes as the Rangers are kind of shutting this one down. Caps go back to the power play. The Rangers don't let them set up. They do kill it off, but 6 seconds after it ends, Washington does score. It's Dowd from Strome at 11:48. Kane then has a one-timer that's saved. Kemper denies Kane on a 2-on-1. The Capitals would pull the goaltender, down 1 goal, and that means VC hits the net from the other side of the ice. Miller with the assist at 17:49, and that puts the game out of range. Your final score is 5-3 for the New York Rangers. They go to 38-19-10 with the win. The Capitals 32-29-7 with the loss, and that, of course, impacts their hopes for making the playoffs this year. 3 stars, Zibanejad, Kane, and Shesterkin. Shots on net 19-9, Rangers in the first, 16-11 for Washington in the second. Each team had 6 shots in the third. Final shots 36-31 Rangers. Power plays Washington 0 for 4, Rangers 1 for 2. Hits 30-16 for the Rangers. Kemper 31 saves on 35 shots. Shesterkin 28 saves on 31 shots. All right, now I need to change boards. All right, so let's dive into board number 2, talking about the Jets and the Canes. So the Canes, this is the first game they've played, of course, now after finding out that Svechnikov's done for the season. This is encouraging. This is encouraging for Carolina. So it's Riddick versus Anderson in this one. Early jump for the Jets. Ehlers fires one wide on a rush. The Canes had the lone shot on net at 4 minutes. They would score on the next one. It's Jacob Slavin unassisted at 4:37. Canes look to add another. The shots on net are low, though. 3 apiece at 7.5 minutes. Jets have a 3-on-2 that fizzles. They get a brief press out of that. Sandberg has a tip shot that's saved. Strong back-checking by the Canes at this point in the game. Shots are 9-5 for Carolina with 4.5 minutes left. Schmidt fans on one as the Jets press. It's 1-0 after one for Carolina. Second period, 19 seconds in. And this is a controversial one if you're a Canes fan, isn't it? DeMello scores. It was a 3-on-1. Martinook got taken down. The fans were not happy. They felt there should have been a penalty called there. Ref is told that he sucks at that point. Jarvis has a rush chance that's held. And then at 57 seconds, off of a face-off, Shea wires it and puts them back in the lead. That will end the ref you suck chance, won't it? Natchez and Kokaniemi with the assists. And so, yeah, Canes then press for another. Fast fans on one. More pressure from them. Power play for the Jets. That's killed off. Jets press at 6.5 minutes. The shots on net are 3-2 for the Jets at 7.5 minutes. I don't know that tells you exactly how things are going. And then Kokaniemi, who is heating up. Don't take your eyes off him right now. Teravainen and Shea at 8:15 with the assists. I get the feeling he's probably getting picked up in some fantasy leagues right now. And it was a good forecheck, and it was a wraparound on that one as well. Canes press with 9 minutes left. Burns defends a 3-on-1. In the final minute, the Jets press, but it's 3-1 Carolina after 2. Third period, Shea fires one wide. The Jets clear it out. Jets had the lone shot on net 3 minutes in. Pressed by the Jets, they're kept to the outside, but on a rush, Ehlers goes 5-hole at 4:27 from Wheeler and Dillon, and it was a great pass to set up Ehlers on that one as well. Then the Canes had a 2-on-1. That misfires. Ehlers to Nemesnikov, near miss there, and then Jack Drury with his first. Nason with the assist at 9:34. That puts them back ahead by 2. Canes get a power play. That's killed off, and then at 15:38, Niederreiter gets Winnipeg a little closer. He scores from Barron and Lowry, but with 2:52 left, the Canes get a power play. Now, it's important Winnipeg kills that off. They then get the goalie pulled. Kokaniemi hits the empty net. That's his second goal of the game. That's his third point of the game. Jarvis with the assist at 19:56. So the Canes, they hold on. They win this one 5-3. They go to 44-14-8 on the season. For the Jets, 38-27-3. They have to just keep at it because this road trip, as tough as it is, they've got some big games coming up the rest of the way. 3 stars, Kokaniemi, Shea, and Drury with his first, of course. Shots on net, 10-6 Carolina in the first, 11-7 Winnipeg in the second, 8-7 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 25-24 for the Canes. Power plays, Winnipeg 0-1, Carolina 0-2. The hits, 21-19 Winnipeg. Riddick saves 20 out of 24. Anderson saved 21 out of 24. So for Riddick, it's a rough stat line, but, I mean, Carolina, I think, played a pretty good game. You guys can let me know your thoughts. I know there's some people that are not a huge fan of Riddick as the backup for the Jets, but either way, it is what it is at this point. Detroit. So the Detroit Red Wings in against the Nashville Predators. And Saros decided he was in thief mode tonight, didn't he? So it was Husso versus Saros. Good start for the Preds. Shots are 2 apiece at 3 minutes, and then it begins. The power plays, the run of power plays. So it starts with the Wings getting a power play, then it becomes 1 minute and 29 seconds of 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there. Pressed by Nashville at 8 minutes. Then there's a power play for Detroit. Raymond has a shot that's held. That's killed off. Shots are 6-3 for the Wings with 8.5 minutes left. Nashville will get a power play. Yossi has a blast that's held. That's killed off. Nashville, they press with 1.5 minutes left. Things get pushy on a hold by Saros. Larkin and Raymond are both denied in the closing seconds. So it's scoreless after 1, but Detroit had some chances there. Second period, power play for Nashville. Solid penalty kill by the Wings. That's killed off. Then the Wings get a power play. It's the trend here. That was killed off. Then the Nashville Predators get their 4th power play of the game. We had 7 power plays in this game in the first 28 minutes. Interestingly enough, only 2 the rest of the way. So the Wings cleared out. Lots of practice with that. So I think that helped their penalty kill. So that's killed off. And then Sherwood scores from Tomasino at 10:58 to open the scoring for Nashville. Shots are 7 apiece with 3.5 minutes left. There's a press by Nashville with 3 minutes left. Suter was then denied on a 3-on-2. It's 1-0 Nashville after 2. Second period, Novak tips one in from the side of the net at 2:22 from Foote and Sherwood. And so Sherwood with a goal and an assist, and suddenly Nashville's ahead 2-0. And with the way Saros was playing, it felt like it might as well have been 5-0. Wings press for an answer. Trenton has a rush chance that saved. The shots are 3-2 Detroit, 6.5 minutes in. The Wings have pressed at the half. Duchesne has a wraparound chance that doesn't go, but it draws a power play. That was killed off. The Wings rush. The Preds 0 for 5. That was their total for the night. Larkin then goes end to end and shoots one wide. The next Larkin chance deflects out. He looks skyward on that one. Zadina has a turnover. That shot is blocked. Goalie pull with 3 minutes and 13 seconds left. Easy for me to say. 2:40 left. That becomes a 6-on-4 for the Wings. They call a timeout. The Wings score. It's reviewed for a kick. There was no distinct kicking motion. I was watching the Nashville feed, and I heard the argument. There's no distinct kicking motion there. I don't even think he was looking at it. So Chason gets the goal from Kopp and Raymond at 17:44. It counts, and the Preds do end up holding on. So even though it breaks the shutout, it doesn't affect the result really. Your final score is 2-1 Nashville. They go to 34, 24, and 7. Do not count out the Predators. They have games in hand on Winnipeg, who lost in regulation. So this is getting kind of close now if you're a Winnipeg fan. For Detroit, they're 30, 28, and 9 on the season now. Any hopes they had are, of course, fading. 3 stars, Sherwood, Saros, and Novak. Shots on net, 10-5 for Detroit in the first, 11-8 Detroit in the second, 8-3 Detroit in the third. Final shots, 29-16 for the Wings. Power plays, 1 for 4 for Detroit, 0 for 5 for Nashville. Hits, 20-17 for Detroit. Husso saves 14 out of 16. Saros, 28 out of 29. All right, where did I put my trap magnet today? Chicago and Boston. Now I'm concerned. And I'm not concerned because this game meant anything. It doesn't. Boston could have decided to play an entire AHL squad and given everybody the night off, and it wouldn't have mattered. But I do worry about Boston falling into some bad habits as we get ready for the playoffs. I worry about them taking their foot off the gas a little bit. So hopefully this is that downbeat and they get back into the swing of things as we get closer to, say, 2 weeks out from the playoffs. Because we've seen teams that just cruise to the President's Trophy that then get knocked out in the first round. So it's Ullmark versus Mrazek. Good early back and forth. Coyle can't bury one. The Hawks clear it out. Mrazek was sharp early, and Mrazek had a good game. He did not finish the game, sadly. Shots are 6-2 Bruins at 3.5 minutes. We then get a power play for Boston. Bergeron has a tip shot that's saved. That's killed off. The Hawks then go to a power play. Bruins clear it out. Shorthanded near miss for Zacha. That power play's killed off. No shots on net for Chicago. Shots are 7-3 for Boston with 9.5 minutes left. So there's not a lot of chances between the 3.5 minute mark and the 11 or 10.5 minute mark. Kachuk has a rush chance that's defended, and then 14:29. Entwistle fakes out Ullmark, gets the goal. Good goal by Entwistle. Hawks, 5 straight shots for them at that point in the game as well. So after the first period, it's 1-0 Chicago. Second period, Hawks press at 3.5 minutes. The shots are 3-1 in their favor. McAvoy hits the side of the net. Khrushchev can't bury one in close. Clifton has a shot that's held. Things get pushy on a hold by Mrazek. Bruins press at 7.5 minutes. Orlov's denied. And then Frederick was robbed twice from the slot. But it looked like one of those shots caught Mrazek here in the collarbone, somewhere, or maybe in the neck. At any rate, he's hurt. He exits. Stalock comes in. This is where you're like, okay. So if you're a Boston fan, your attitude would be, okay, get lots of shots. They really don't. Stalock comes in. And this is where I started going crazy because it was the Chicago feed I'm watching and Forbort. They kept saying Forbort's name wrong. They kept saying Forbort. And it's not Forbort. It's not. I haven't said Forbort in about 5 years, maybe 6. I learned really quick. It's not Forbort. It's Forbort. And it's one of those things that'll stick with you. So, anyways, I had to put that up there. Pasternak collides with Lindholm. Coyle fires one wide on a rush. Shots are 10-6 for the Bruins with 7.5 minutes left. Entwistle misses one on a fast break. He almost had 2. Hawks press with 6.5 minutes left. But then DeBrusk gets one in off Seth Jones. From Lindholm and Orlov at 14:58. However, at 16:32, Joey Anderson answers. He's fitting in pretty well with Chicago. He gets that one from Kachuk. That was from the side of the net. Then Frederick ties it at 19:48. He scores that one from Bertuzzi and Lindholm, so he buries that one in close. It's 2-2 after 2. Third period, 3:02 in. One goes in off Tenorti's skate. So it's Zacha from Krejci and Pasternak, and I thought, okay, maybe Boston's going to come out of this one with the win. Maybe even though they haven't necessarily played great, they're going to, and they did have a good third period. However, Hawks press and they score. It's Radish, who started what would be a pretty important game for him. He scores from Tkachuk and Kara at 3:55. Then Tkachuk scores from Anderson at 6:59. Things get punchy during a hold by Stalock. The Bruins end up getting a power play not long after. Post for Bertuzzi, that's killed off. Initially, they thought it was a goal. It wasn't. It didn't go in. It just hit the post. 5:45 left. The Hawks get a power play, and they score on it. It's Radish. He scores from Johnson and Mitchell. That's Tyler Johnson. I think that's the only Johnson in their lineup. I haven't heard Reese Johnson's name in a while, and I know they traded Jack Johnson. Here I was thinking they were just collecting guys named Johnson. The Hawks go back to the power play. That's killed off. Pasternak had a penalty shot. That was saved. They pull the goaltender, and Radish hits the empty net for his first career hat trick. Kara with the assist in 1915. It's also Radish's 20th goal. Pretty sure that's his first 20-goal season as well. He was one that I thought would be interesting to watch because guys come out of Tampa and they tend to take off. Radish is the latest example. So your final score in this one, 6-3 for Chicago. They go to 23, 38, and 6 with the win. Boston 50, 11, and 5 now with the loss. And this should end the conversation of, oh, they're on a record pace. Oh, are they going to get 63 wins? This should end that discussion. Now the discussion should be, are they kind of falling off a bit here and what's going to happen? 3 stars, Radish, Tkachuk, and Anderson. Shots on net are 10-7 Chicago in the first, 16-10 Boston in the second, 19-9 Boston in the third. They did outshoot Chicago 42-29. Power plays, Boston 0 for 2, Chicago 1 for 3. The hits 36-20 Chicago. Ullmark, a very not Ullmark-like number of 23 saves on 28 shots. Mrazek saved all 16 shots. Stalock went in, saved 23 out of 26. He was good. And there you go. All right, so moving along. Ottawa, the Sens in against Edmonton. And this road trip has really just absolutely destroyed any hope Ottawa had of making the playoffs. This is 4 losses in 5 games. So it's Sogard versus Skinner, and at 2:20 on their first shot, and not much chance for Sogard here, Ryan scores from McLeod and Shore. He wires that one on a rush. So Edmonton's rush chances are pretty dangerous. So the shots are 3-1 for Ottawa, 5.5 minutes in. We then get a power play for the Sens, and they scored on it. It is Tkachuk's over here. Tkachuk scores from DeBrincat and Sanderson. That's at 6:48, and that one's deflected in. So that ties the game at 1. Sens press for the lead. Tkachuk has a shot that's held. And then Draisaitl, on a give and go, he scores from Foegele and Nugent-Hopkins at 12:34. So that makes it 2-1 for Edmonton. We get a power play for the Oilers. That's killed off. The Oilers press with 4 minutes left. With 1:55 left, the Oilers go back to the power play. But a key thing happens here. It's a shorthanded goal for Ottawa. Stützle from Gambrell at 18:53 buries that one on a rush. So Ottawa, a team that's been dealing with a lot of shorthanded goals against, they get one here. So it's 2-2 after 1. Second period. Toe save on McDavid from the slot takes place there. Power play for the Sens. Batherson has a blast that deflects out. That's killed off. And then the Oilers get a turn, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins gets his 31st of the year on the power play at 5:39. It was a Gambrell turnover and a one-timer. So Gambrell passed the puck to him. You don't do that. That's the other team. Shots are 6-2 for the Oilers at 6.5 minutes. So after a mediocre first period by their standards, they had a very good second period. Sens press looking to tie it. The Oilers, though, they press with 9 minutes left. Ryan gets shaken up on a collision. We get a power play for the Sens. There was a post for Pinto. They cycle. That's killed off. And then Draisaitl scores from McDavid and Foegele at 16:17. The Oilers press in the final minute, and they would score at 19:59. And it feels like 19:59 was a very popular time to score a goal tonight. Bukestad from Ekholm and Costin. So that puts the Oilers up 5-2 after 2. Third period, Sens press briefly. Skinner holds there before it can get out of control. Shots are 2-1 Sens at 4 minutes, but the Sens do get a goal. It's Stützle from Batherson and Brown at 5:28. And then Chychrun takes kind of an ugly-looking hit into the boards. To me, it looked like he may have hurt his shoulder. Hopefully he's okay. But again, Ottawa's playoff chances at this point are probably done. So there was a power play for the Sens. That's killed off. One shot. 7:28 left. The Sens go back to the power play. That's killed off as well. Giroux's robbed on a turnover with 2:23 left. There's a timeout, and Deutschland plays. Cool. And I know that I'm pretty sure it's only Edmonton that plays my favorite Rammstein song ever, but thank you. So the goalie gets pulled, and the empty net gets hit. It's the 56th goal of the season for McDavid from Kane and Nurse at 17:47. Edmonton wins this one 6-3. So for the Sens, they dropped to 33-30-4 with the loss. Edmonton, key win here, 37-23-8 for them. 3 stars are Draisaitl, Stützle, and Foegele, and this means they jump past Seattle. And if the playoffs started today, we'd get the Kings and the Oilers again. So shots on net, 9-6 Ottawa in the first, 16-9 in favor of Edmonton in the second, 14-11 Ottawa in the third. Final shots 33-32 for the Oilers. Power plays, Ottawa 1 for 5, Edmonton 1 for 3. Hits 23-19 in favor of the Oilers. Sogard saves 27 out of 32. Skinner saves 29 out of 32, and that's part of the difference. I feel bad for Sogard and Mandolese because you're young kids, you haven't been in the NHL, and now, hey, try to bring us to the playoffs. Not an easy task for a veteran, much less a couple of rookies. At any rate, I need to change boards again. All right, so Calgary and Arizona. For Calgary now, they have a bit of a problem. They're now 1 point behind Nashville, a team that has games in hand on them. So Markstrom versus Ingram in this one, and I'm going to get to the 3 stars because it was my are you kidding moment of the night. So good early jump for the Flames. Power play for Calgary, that's killed off, but 4 minutes in, the shots are 4-0 for the Flames. Coyotes press at 5.5 minutes, but Calgary would open the scoring. It's Backlund from Anderson at 8:14. That one trickled in off Mosier's skate. They use curling references, and it's absolutely true. It curls into the net. But Arizona ties. At 9:22, it's Keller. Tips one in, that's his 30th of the season. Hayden and Valimaki with the assists. Shots even up. Coyotes with some momentum. Dauphin's denied on a break. Coleman and then has a slot shot that's saved. Hayden nearly scores in the closing seconds, so it's 1-1 after 1. Second period, 55 seconds in. Michelli with his 6th of the season from McBain and Krause. But that lead doesn't last very long. Dewar gets the 2nd of the season from Lucic and Hanifin at 2:03, and he wires that one far corner. So this time it was Calgary that answered quickly. Shots are 4-2 for the Flames at 6.5 minutes. The Coyotes press at 7 minutes. There's a goal by the Coyotes. Goalie interference challenge by Daryl Sutter, and it's accurate. No goal based on goalie interference. And it was a pretty obvious one. Coyotes press to get it back. Krause has a net drive. That's broken up. Mangiapane's then denied on a 2-on-1. Things get brawly with 5:41 left, and that took a while to get all that to settle down. Michelli can't bury one on a 3-on-1. Anderson has a blast kicked aside. There's a press by the Flames in the final minute. But it's 2-2 after 2. Third period. Early power play for the Flames. Backlund has a shot that's saved. They cycle, and then it's Keller shorthanded from Hayden at 2:01, and then the Coyotes finish the kill. So, yeah, Barrett Hayden's really coming into his own. Power play for the Coyotes. That's killed off. Toffoli then fires one wide on a rush. There's a press by the Flames with 8.5 minutes left. Shots are 8-2 for Calgary with 6.5 minutes left. Pelche can't bury one as the Flames press, but then Huberdeau on a turnover. He gets a goal from Stetcher and Dubé at 14:59. Huberdeau was then robbed in closing seconds in order to set up overtime. In the overtime, the Coyotes control early. They cycle, prevented the Flames getting a change in. Tanev would take the puck to get that change, but the Flames kept handing the puck back to Arizona. They didn't actually end up getting a shot on net. And then Boyd buries a rebound on a 2-on-1. Valimaki and Michelli with the assists at 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So there's Michelli with an assist to go with his goal earlier. And Arizona wins this one 4-3 in overtime. 25-32-11 now is the record for the Coyotes. On the Calgary side, they're 30-24-14. They now lead the league in overtime or shootout lost points. 3 stars are Keller, Boyd, and Hayden. Shots on net, 17-12 Calgary in the first, 14-8 Calgary in the second, 14-3 Calgary in the third, 2-0 Arizona in the overtime. What's that? Where's Connor Ingram? I don't know. He should have been the first star. Without Connor Ingram, they were outshot 14-3, 28-11 in the second and third period, and they were still tied because Connor Ingram stood on his head. Anyways, the power play is 0-2 for Calgary, 0-1 for Arizona. The shots were 45-25 for Calgary. Hits were 39-39. Markstrom saved 21 out of 25. Ingram saves 42 out of 45. He's not one of the 3 stars. Maybe they're spoiled. Maybe they're just like, Ingram does that every night. because we're getting there. I think he's ready to steal the job from Vejmelka. In the offseason, they could move Vejmelka and keep Ingram, and I wouldn't downgrade my expectations of their goaltending. All right, next up, Vancouver and Dallas. This was the other trap magnet. So my trap magnets were 2 out of 3 today. Murray versus Demko, and it's the other Matt Murray. Young goaltender. I don't know how ready he really and truly is for this role, but with Wedgwood on the shelf, it's just how it has to go. Ben's denied early. The Stars had the early jump, but on their first shot, DiGiuseppe tips one in. It was a nice one, too. Miller and Besser with the assists at 135. Besser's play continues to pick up. So does JT Miller's. So we'll see what they do in the offseason. Stars look to respond, but the Canucks get a power play and they score on it. It was a tic-tac-toe play, and Kuzmenko gets his 31st of the season. Garland and Besser with the assists. So Besser, that's 300 points from in his career. Kudos to Brock for that. That was the third shot on net as well. So 2 goals on their first 3 shots. Canucks go back to the power play, but a much better kill by the Stars. They allowed no shots on that one. Canucks get their third power play. That was killed off as well. And that's the end of the power plays for Vancouver in the game. Stars press with 4 minutes left, but coming out of the first period, they're down 2-0. Early in the second period on a 3-on-2, Johnston buries one. He gets up to 18 goals now. He's making a late push into the Calder conversation. Ben and Heiskanen with the assists at 48 seconds. I've had people asking me, what do you think of Johnston? What do you think of Johnston? He's an excellent player. Really excellent player. And he's got a rookie year he can build on next year. Stars then look to tie it. There was some loud swearing. And immediately when I hear the loud swearing that's really clear on the TV, I'm like, where's number 9? There's JT Miller. So yeah, if the Canucks cough up the puck and I hear a really loud swear on the TV, I know JT Miller's out there somewhere. So I was right. Just had to put that on the board. The shots on net are 2 apiece at 5.5 minutes. Heiskanen is denied from the slot. Demko sharp as the Stars have some momentum here. Joshua nearly scores against the flow of play. Garland then has a slot shot that's defended, but then Beauvillier at 11:53 scores from Wolanin and Pettersson. There's Wolanin with his 3rd assist on the season, and people are starting to warm up to Wolanin in this market. Good. Canucks press with 2 minutes left. The Stars, though, they get a power play, and as the clock's winding down, Ben scores from Heiskanen at 19:56. And the shame of this was Pettersson had just been denied on a shorthanded break. And that would have been a beautiful goal, but Ben gets his 29th of the season. And so after 2 periods, it's 3-2 for Vancouver. Third period, the Canucks overpass on a 2-on-1. Podkolzin, who was part of that 2-on-1, then had a slot shot that was saved. Canucks had the only shot on net 3.5 minutes in, and then Brisebois gets his first NHL goal. Kudos to him for that. Amon and Garland with the assists at 4:09. Garland grabbed the puck right away, make sure that was kept. Shots on net are 2-1 for Vancouver at 6.5 minutes. We get a power play for Dallas. There's a shorthanded 2-on-1. Amon's denied. There were 2 shots on that power play. Then there's a post for Quinn Hughes as the Canucks get some pressure. Shots are 6-4 Canucks with 5.5 minutes left. And then Miller with a beautiful goal. Besser with the assist at 16:59. So Besser with 3 assists. Miller with a goal and 2 assists on the night, or 1 goal, 1 assist. Not bad. So the Stars get a power play that's killed off, and the game's done. Vancouver wins this one 5-2. They go to 29, 32, and 5. So they're getting close to NHL 500. Dallas drops to 37, 18, and 13 on the season. Your 3 stars are Brisebois, Besser, and Miller. And because of the results tonight and the way things work, Dallas is down to 11th on the power rankings after the video I did today where they were 10th. So in this game, yeah, Brisebois first star. I can't argue with that. He's been quite the story. So is Wolanin. We'll see how many of them are in the lineup next year, of course. Shots on net are 7-4 Dallas in the first, 13-8 Dallas in the second, 7 apiece in the third. Final shots 27-19 for Dallas. Power plays, both teams 1 for 3. Hits 26-23 Dallas. Murray saves 14 out of 19. Rough night for the kid. Demko continues his strong play. 25 saves on 27 shots. So, yeah. All right, next up. Let me make sure I'm writing the right number in here because don't want to get the timestamps wrong. All right, Columbus and San Jose. I told you. I knew this was going to go to. And the answer is like, oh, this is so exciting. It's not. It's not a game. See, for me to get emotionally invested in a game at this time of year, it has to have some kind of playoff implication, and this doesn't. So it's Tarasov versus Kakin, and Tarasov's had a rough year. Shots are 2 apiece at 2.5 minutes. Robinson has a shot that saved the Jackets press. Power play for the Sharks. Eklund couldn't bury one. That's cleared out. And then Barabanov gets the power play goal from Couture and Hurdle at 8 minutes. Boquist then has a snapshot that deflects out. The Jackets press at 9.5 minutes. Eventually, they do tie it. It's Johnny Gaudreau, who had himself a night, from Line A and Bayreuther at 12:29. He fires that one top shelf. Sharks press with 4 minutes left, but with 1:43 left, Columbus gets a power play. With 6.4 seconds left, it becomes a 5-on-3. So we go to the second period with Columbus in a tie game. They have a 5-on-3 power play for 16 seconds. As the power play ends, they score. It's Kent Johnson from Gaudreau and Tarasov at 1:54. It's a goal that he scores 5-hole. Initially, it was credited as a power play goal. Currently on the app, it's not. So it's right on the cusp of maybe being a power play goal, maybe not. Sometimes those change back. So at this stage, it shows that Columbus didn't score on the power play. That was the 22nd shot on net for Columbus. San Jose had 6. And then Columbus scores again at 5:28. It's Jenner from Gaudreau and Robinson. Lindblom was then denied from the slot by Tarasov. Power play for Columbus, that's killed off. And then Eklund gets his first NHL goal at 10:24 from Pouliot and Hertl. So Pouliot with an assist tonight. That's his first point of the year. Kudos to him for that. And he backhands that one in, did Eklund, so he's got his first. Johnson then has a rush chance that's held, but Columbus would answer. It's Jenner from Gaudreau at 17:17. He wires that one from the slot. Hertl then had a net drive that was saved and held, and then at 19:59, another one. Couture scores, and so San Jose gets this one just a little bit closer. They're trailing by 1 after 2. Third period, 2:20 in. On a rush, Foodie goes posting in. He scores from Olivier and Blankenberg. Sharks look to answer. They end up getting a power play, and 8 seconds after it comes to an end, LeBanc scores from Benning and Zetterlund at 5:53. Sharks press at 8 minutes. They're looking to tie this, and they do. It's Knyzhov with his first of the season from Couture and Barabanov at 11:20. We then had a power play for the Sharks. That's killed off. Marchenko then fires one high on a 2-on-1. His goal scoring's dried up a bit lately. And things get punchy at the horn because now we're going to overtime. Columbus controls early. Boquist fans on one. Carlson's denied on a break. Gregor then fires one wide. Johnson would hit a post. And then at 4:17, just as I'm getting ready to write shootout on the board, Gaudreau scores from Line A. And so that's a 6-5 win on the road in overtime for Columbus. They go to 21-38-7 on the season. San Jose still only has 6 wins at home all year. They're 19-36-13. 3 stars in this one: Gaudreau, Couture, and Jenner. Shots on net: 19-6 Columbus in the first, 13-10 Columbus in the second, 14-11 San Jose in the third, 5-2 Columbus in the overtime. Final shots: 48-32 for Columbus. Power play, that seems like a really high shot number for Columbus. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the highest they've had all year. Power plays 0 for 3 for Columbus, 1 for 3 for San Jose. Hits 19-18 San Jose. Tarasov saves 27 out of 32. Kakinen saves 42 out of 48. You know, it's a shame that you guys just see this image because Bear's like sleeping at my feet waiting for me to get done, so she knows it's bedtime. So that's cute. Anyways, moving on, last game of the night, and it's the Islanders and the Kings. And the Kings get right back to work. This is a team that I think is going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. I think the Oilers are going to be fun to watch in the playoffs. If this ends up being a first-round matchup, yes, please. So, Sorokin versus Korpisalo in this one. The shots are 3-2 for the Kings at 3.5 minutes. The Islanders press. They're kept to the outside. Velarde has a rush chance that's saved. Horvat had a net feed. That's picked off. The Islanders were stuck on 2 shots for a while here. There's a press by the Islanders then at 8.5 minutes that does get some shots and tests Korpisalo. Engvall had a net drive that's saved, but then during that same shift on a turnover, Engvall scores from Pulock at 11:45. So it's 1-0 for the Islanders. Danault was denied from the slot, but after the first period, it's 1-0 New York. Second period, 1:54 in, Lizotte gets a goal from Walker and Velarde. So Velarde on the board with another point. Lizotte gets his 10th of the season there. Kopitar then has a rush chance. That was defended. He doesn't get to the net. Danault and Gavrikov can't bury one in close. We then get a power play for the Kings. It becomes 1 minute and 31 seconds of 5-on-3. You can't do that in LA, and Doughty makes him pay for it from Kopitar and Kempe at 6:06. Then, during the 5-on-4, Arvidsson hits a post. The puck bounces out to Iafallo, who buries it. He scores at 7:06 from Arvidsson and Kaliev. The shots on net are 7-1 for the Kings at 9 minutes. Yeah, the Kings came out in that second period just like, yeah, we're not going to lose to the Islanders, and this was really an impressive game for them. Grundstrom then has a net drive that's defended. The Islanders press, but again, they're kept to the outside. More than Wires one from the slot. This is his first in a while, and it's his first since he returned from injury. Dano and Gavrikov with the assists at 12-14, and he partied like it was the first he's had in a while. Power play even for the Islanders, that's killed off, but before the period's out, they do get a goal. It's Pajot from Aho and Pulock at 17:02. The Islanders press in the final minute. They're down 4-2, though, after 2. But the Islanders have some fight back in them, right? Third period, early jump for the Kings. The Kings had the only shot on net 3.5 minutes in, which means Islanders aren't generating anything. Power play for the Islanders, that's killed off. Kings press at 8.5 minutes. Kempe's denied. Then Horvat with a net feed, that was picked off. Palmieri's denied, and then Anderson saves one after that. So Korpisalo with a big save, and Mikey Anderson with the next one. And the announcers said, Mikey Anderson is, elite. I think people are starting to recognize it. And I said to the TV, I've been saying that for years. So, Isles press with 4.5 minutes left. With 3:02 left, though, the Kings decide to make it interesting. They get a delay of game call, and I knew right away that it was delay of game. They go to commercial, but I'm like, yeah, I already written on the board delay of game. I'd written on the board 6-on-4 because with the Islanders down 2, they have to pull the goalie here, right? They have the power play. So at 19:07, Byfield hits the empty net. It's his third of the year. Maybe this will get him going goal-scoring wise from Roy and Gavrikov. That being said, Byfield's play has been very solid on that top line. And the LA Kings win this one 5-2. They go to 39-20-9, so they keep pace with Vegas and with Edmonton. The Islanders drop to 34-27-8. I think the big winners tonight, Florida. Florida watched tonight as the teams that they needed to lose lost. 3 stars, Lizotte, Arvidsson, and Gavrikov. Shots on net, 14-12 LA in the first, 12-6 LA in the second, 11-10 LA in the third. Final shots, 37-28 in favor of the Kings. Power plays, the New York Islanders 0-for-3. LA 2-for-2. Perfect on the power play. Hits 30-14 for the Islanders. Sorokin saves 32 out of 36. Korpisalo saves 26 out of 28. So there you go. Korpisalo continues his solid run with the Kings, while Quick keeps his solid run going with the Vegas Golden Knights. And maybe they meet the second round of the playoffs. At any rate, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding these games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.